Hi guys, how is it going tonight? So I want to do a quick BTC evening update. I hope you guys are okay with me doing a lot of these types of updates because I've actually got to do it for myself anyways. So it makes sense for me to also involve the community so you guys can hear my thoughts and perhaps we can also contribute ideas with each other, right? So as it stands right now, the way that we see Bitcoin is unfortunately still in a downtrend, and it's very much so in a continuation pattern for a downtrend. So if we take a look at the coin market cap, we see Bitcoin right now is trending kind of on average for the 24-hour volume. Overall market cap is at $326 billion. If we go to the historical data for the past 24 hours, what we see was yesterday's sell-off volume was about 6.9 billion, but now the volume is slowly diminishing over time. It's now at 6.78 billion, which is a little bit less than yesterday, of course. And if we compare it to the historical 1 hour volume, that was higher than any other volume in the 1 hour candle than in the history of all cryptocurrencies for Bitcoin there. That's something that we have to give it respect to. And I firmly believe, guys, excuse me, my throat's always sore lately. I'm just going to have a sip of water very quickly here. All right. So we have to acknowledge the fact that I do believe it is still in a very bullish overall medium-term run, but for the short term, we have to acknowledge the fact that it's correction time, guys. We went from $6,400 range all the way up to $8,500, which is a $2,000 gain. So some people are going to take profit, and according to Elliott Wave as well, it's definitely going to be a time to correct. People will take profit, and I firmly believe, guys, like around 74 to 7,600, more so 7,600 range now. I can't really see it getting too much lower based on everything that I have seen thus far. So let's take a look at Bitcoin and see where it's going. Now, as we know, okay, from the beginning of time, I'm gonna just give you guys a very brief rundown of how I personally see this WXY correction over here. I see this as a W, I see this as a Y there, I see this as an X point, and I see this as a Z. Now, for the people that are unfamiliar with how ABCs work with that, I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown as well. We get 5 impulse waves that go up like that, and then we get an ABC that tries to correct, and once it finishes its ABC corrective pattern right here, it tries really hard to break out into an impulse wave, right? Like that. But if it fails, it actually ends up making another ABC type of correction like that. Just something simple like that. And what we end up calling this in particular is a simple WXY type of correction, right? Simple X, W, X, Y type of correction. Now, if we actually end up trying to make an impulse wave up like that again, and if it fails again, then we actually get some sort of extended ABC correction like that again. So this actually makes an 11 wave structure. If you guys take a look at it very quickly and count with, what you'll actually see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So this is also known as an Elliott wave triple combo, just going upwards like this, right? Now that is called a triple Elliott wave combo, which is really it happens much more often than we think. But at the same time, last year it was pretty rare for us to actually see any type of triple Elliott wave combos. I saw in some coins, but not really a lot of the bigger coins out there because it was a very bullish year in general. Well, more so near the second half of the very last quarter, right? So, because I see this as my double Elliott wave combo, I'm just going to get my toolbar up here very quickly as well here. I see this as a truncated B wave, something simple like that right there, okay? And then I see as an impulse wave upwards, and then I see an impulse wave failure where it comes down to something like that right there, okay? And here as well, we see it as a failed wave where X denotes the failed wave because this one simply couldn't make a fifth wave going upwards like that at all. And now we come down, we finish the ABC correction, in my opinion, where we have officially finished this downtrend where I think that $6,400 was the floor. So because we see this as a floor right now, what we're going to easily make note of on a lower time frame is that this could possibly be a wave 1 going upwards, something simple like that. this could be going up like that. That could be 3. 4 could be somewhere in this rough territory right there. And we're going to get a roughly, say, 9,000 range, just to choose a very round number there. It's over 9,000. So then we go to our log scale. Make sure you guys are going into your log scale. I personally think that it is the best place to have it, simply because we're looking at it on a more of a higher time frame. So since we're looking at it on a higher time frame, it just averages it out a lot better the way the candle formations and the price action actually looks. So this looks very acceptable to me, right? So we take our Fibonacci extension tool to something like this, perhaps, okay? Fibonacci extension tool. We say to ourselves, all right, well, Wave 3 actually ended up hitting a territory of the 161.8 region. So there's a good chance that this one could possibly hit up to another region up there. Excuse me, sorry about that. So we say it could possibly hit around, the 93.50 range over here, but we're going to be conservative and say it could hit on the high end, where it breaks out of the 9300 range, and most likely on the lower end here, 9K. But the most important fact to take from all of this is that it finally breaks outside of this major resistance that's been forming for an incredibly long time. And then, if you guys are not familiar with the way Elliott waves work, I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown as well for Fibonacci retracement here. So we take our Fibonacci retracement tool. If you take it for wave 2, guys, make sure you're only doing it for wave 1, just like this right here, okay? I'm just going to take off some bars over here. And then if you take your Fibonacci for wave 4 retracement, only do it for wave 3. Do not do Fibonacci only for wave 5 of this particular structure, okay? That's where you're going to get into a lot of a mess. Make sure that you're taking the Fibonacci retracement of the entire 5-wave structure. So then we are hoping for some sort of ABC correction, just like that, right? That's usually the gist of how Fibonacci retracement and Fibonacci extensions just typically work with Elliott waves. So if we say that this one does hit 161.8, then this one's also got a really good chance to hit up to 261.8 and around the 9K region, because that's a very strong psychological number. So now that we've got the entire 5 waves down there, what we simply say is that, okay, well, this is most likely to hit. So I'm actually just going to move this down a little bit over here, just to give it a little bit more room. There you go. There we go. And there we go. So let's say we go to the lower side here of just the 9K region. What we would like after this happens is that it ends up making some sort of, correction like that. But the most important thing is what was formerly a resistance will now act as actually a very hard support. So we have to take that away always. And remember that what was previously a support will act as a resistance, and what was previously a resistance will act as a hard support. So then, excuse me there, I sometimes mute the microphone because once again, I've got kind of a sore throat right here, and I just don't want to be rude and cough to you guys. So after we see this type of correction, it's going to be really nice if we actually bounce right off of this line, and hopefully, it's just extrapolating it further. If this is the final wave where that goes something like that, well, over time, we can easily see something like that as well, okay? So if this actually ends up hitting target, who knows? If it bounces off of here and just extrapolating some of the data, it'd be really cool if Bitcoin actually ended up doing something like that, where it hit the $12,000 range, right, long term. So a lot of the times it plays out. My extrapolations definitely play out quite a bit, guys. So I'm kind of excited to be doing this with you guys as well. And hopefully we can get to that journey together. So I'm going to try to keep this in about a 20-minute video at most. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too many technical analysis during the day. But what we can clearly see from here, guys, if I go to like a 4-hour chart here, right, we clearly see that that's some sort of 1, that's 2, that's some sort of 3, 4, and that's a 5 wave going up there like that, right? If I do it on a more detailed time frame, like it definitely is. This whole pattern right there is a consolidation pattern. So, if I just break it down here and do this on a different time frame, like a minuet or something like that, that's kind of how we're seeing it. We've got no other choice but to see it like this right now, where 3 is pretty much ending up there. This whole wave is a fourth wave structure over here, and that's a fifth coming down. So, and if we actually do a very detailed count on this right now, guys, like I'm not entirely sure if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're just about to do our ABC, and then we're gonna come down. But you know, if I go to like a very low time frame right here, I actually see it kind of like this right now. Okay, let's just give you guys a very good idea of how I see it. I see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and I see this as 5. I see this right here as ABC going upwards actually. Okay, A, B, and I see this as C, right? And I'm also looking for 5 waves coming down here as well. So 1, 2, perhaps this is 3, 4, and we might even get like an extended 5th wave. But realistically, we're going to probably test this support right here pretty hard, which is the 7600 range. So assuming that this is actually the right count, right? I'm not really entirely sure if it's the right count, but it just seems like wave 5 is just going to finish somewhere right around the 75 to 7600 range still, right? Just the way everything is looking. I mean, if you guys actually see this very detailed, excuse me, I almost burped there. That was kind of rude, but I've been drinking a lot of water and I don't know. Sorry, that was kind of rude on my end there. I didn't mean to. You guys see this right here as ABC, right? We see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is possibly an A, B, and C, just simply going upwards like that. So if this were the actual case, then we're just going to get our 5 waves coming down here like that, where I'm just extrapolating some data. So a very viable target is right around here right now for the short time being, right? We're probably going to end up seeing some sort of support region, perhaps, you know, just right around here still. So I'm definitely interested in buying on this particular dip here. I don't think it's going to get to 7,200 to be quite honest. Like that's kind of too low on the lower end spectrum, but this seems very viable in my opinion right here. And I'll actually give you guys a very detailed count. I'm actually really interested in the white lately, like in the white color on the chart. So I'm just going to change it here for you guys very quickly as well. So this is something that seems very viable, doesn't it? If that were the actual count right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, right? And I'm actually just going to give you guys a big ABC as well. So A, perhaps B, C, and let's just change this as well to like a bigger degree here so you guys can see it. Let's make this actually yellow instead of white just to give it a little bit of color coding. So does that look like a viable target, right? Is that possible? Something like that right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will land simply right in this particular range. Yeah, so I don't see anything else, guys. Like, I honestly just see this as a typical zigzag ABC correction that's coming downwards. And there's nothing that's going to stop this downward momentum, in my personal opinion, right now. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick snapshot of this. So I can actually post this on Steemit as well to give you guys some quick charts. Actually, I'm going to post it on Twitter as well right now. That seems to be the way that it's looking, right? It's hard to see that it's any other way for now. The target still stands, where I'm just going to quickly post this on Twitter if you guys don't mind. I apologize for the wait here, but sometimes it's just a lot easier to do everything without having to stop and edit the video, etc. So yeah. My target still stands for 7,400 to 7,600 range. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it still right now. So let's clear this up and take a look at it from another perspective as well, okay? Let's take a look at it from the daily perspective and see how we actually ended up closing for the day. Well, for the day, we ended up closing with a very bearish kind of candle right now. That's actually trading in a lower range. Now, we have to give this a few days, right? I think in a few days, this will absolutely end up testing it in that lower region right over there that I mentioned, between the 74 to the 7600 range. we completely rejected, guys. If you take a look at right here on the 15th and the 16th, we completely rejected the 55 EMA right here with basically a double tweezer top and a very bearish candle. Simply could not get to that particular range. Now, I know a lot of people are still worried about death cross still, so I'm just going to get over the death cross really quickly and let you guys know what are some scenarios. There are basically three scenarios that can happen with the death cross when it happens, okay? One scenario is this. This is the death cross that happened. Bulls ended up fighting, and the bulls ended up getting it back up to a golden cross level, but it ended up actually just downtrending back to another death cross, right? That's scenario one. Scenario two is we basically just continue downtrending, and the bulls don't even have a chance, and we stay in the death cross region. That's the most bearish scenario. Scenario three is we get a death cross like this, and then the bulls end up fighting it above to a golden cross region, but there's no death cross again. The bulls just end up regaining control, and we end up skyrocketing. That is the scenario that it seems like it's more likely to play out too. So for the investors, guys, remember what I am about to say, okay? For the death cross, if we actually end up death crossing like this, for example, right? Golden cross almost happened here. Death cross happened basically there. And then we end up skyrocketing. That is where I will be buying a lot of Bitcoin because I will ride it for an incredibly long time. If you guys take a look at this golden crossover that just happened right here, okay, this golden crossover happened, you would have entered at about $2,604, or sorry, $264. So used to seeing 1,000. And then you wouldn't sell it until you get some massive confirmation of a downtrend. So if you entered around $264, right? Well, you would have rode that for a very long time, and we would find some signals for us to catch near the top over there. We might not exactly catch the top, but you know what? It's going to be great. Like if we end up uptrending and we end up getting a golden crossover where the 200 moving average actually goes below the 55 moving average, and this is very, very short lived, then it's going to be a great sign for investors to kick in and actually start buying, and that's when it's going to be go time. But other than that, for now, on a short term level, we're reaching Brown Cadence's RSI resistance right here. I was mentioning that for a few times now, if you guys remember, right? According to Brown Cadence's RSI rule, Constance Brown constants. I keep saying cadence, okay? Constance Brown RSI rule basically states that anywhere below the 60 range, right, to very low RSI, right, that would be considered a very bearish territory. A more neutral territory would be basically between 30 and 60, or 35 and 65, around neutral range between 30 and 70-ish. Now, a very bullish zone would be considered somewhere like this over here, okay? A very bullish zone would be considered somewhere where we get an RSI range that does not really dip below 40 to super high RSI, right? So what we're seeing is that 40 to high RSI is very, very high in terms of bullish pressure to go up. Between 30 and 70 is more neutral territory, but 60 and under is a very low RSI. That's a very bearish zone to be in. So we have to acknowledge the fact that on the 2-hour chart, we actually reached some of the most bullish RSIs that we have ever reached in the history of Bitcoin almost, okay? If we actually scroll way back, guys, like way, way back, what we actually see right here is that the last time we reached this type of bullishness was pretty much actually let's go to it even further, okay? Last time we reached this kind of bullishness on a 2-hour chart right here was all the way back in about November during a very large uptrend. So because we're reaching some very bullish numbers right now, I cannot help but think to myself that there's a lot of pressure for the bulls to actually take over in the medium term, right? That's gearing up for a longer term trend. So this right here, this could very well be a very hard resistance as well. Who knows? We might even end up trending to almost the 8K range, and then we're just simply going to drop, right? So if we actually just draw some parallel lines right there like that, it could actually set us up to a drop right down over here. So if you guys see this potential drop right there, where that's making A, that's making B, and that's making C, well, that's setting us up to roughly around the 74 to 7600 range still. More so on the 7600 range, because then if it falls to the 7600 range, then I'm simply going to see this right here right, as a possible between the 382 and the point 0.5 Fibonacci level, which is actually a very respectable retracement. So it's hard for me to think in any way that we're going to reach 3K. I mean, you guys need to stop thinking about this 3K, 4K scenario, right? If we can't even break below, 64.50 range right now, how the heck are we going to break to well below to the like the 3, 4K range? It's just not really likely at all right now. So just looking at it further, like I firmly believe that it's going to be, I know I've been saying it for days now, guys, but we got to remember that these kind of things take time, right? They take time for a natural correction process to actually happen. But who knows, this might actually end up landing just, something like that in there. So we have to make sure that we always go based on what we know first, and then we try to deduce and extrapolate the rest of the information as it comes in. Day traders focus on one day at a time. Okay, guys, not two. I meant one day at a time, and we don't really care too much about what happens in 3, 4, or 5 days. We want to capitalize on the heavy volatility and the high volume for that specific day. But as it stands right now, there's really not too much information to go on where it looks like it's going to end up breaking too much newer highs. It definitely has the momentum to actually break down right now to some lower lows. So I just want to give you guys a very quick evening update with where we stand right now. I hope that the information has been helpful thus far. I'll be sure to post some charts on Steemit for you guys to actually take a look at, where I always appreciate an upvote. And if you guys absolutely love the work that I'm doing, you're welcome to donate to the Luna and the Philicon cryptocurrency piggy bank, where all the funds goes towards Luna's alcoholic problems. Okay, she's kind of she loves to drink, if you guys don't know, and she sometimes needs her vodka to be funded. Or you guys are welcome to buy me a lunch or a coffee, but never ever donate anything more than that. And I really mean that. That I'm okay. Okay, guys. But it's just my spiel, and I do that at the end of every video and the beginning of every video as well. So as it stands, no trade zone, guys. I'm sorry to say, no accumulation zone either for myself. That's why I've been staying far away from Bitcoin and more so focusing on altcoins. So other than that, thank you very much for all the love and the support that you guys have given me. This will most likely be my last video for the night, and I'm gonna go to bed. Actually, it's midnight already. And when I get up in the morning, 9, 10 in the morning, I'll be sure to live stream and we can take a look at the direction of Bitcoin and what it has been doing thus far. So have yourselves a great night, and thank you very much for watching this video. Bye now.